sometimes I feel we get to a point now where we see a tent city and we go, oh, it's a tent city, where this should be shocking in
Yeah.
this society, right? These people are living in tents. Winter is coming, right?
Hmm.
It's going to be here this weekend, I think.
Yeah.
Um, so this is one thing that I was hoping to do with this project is just to give you a bit of a background on my advocacy work. Some years ago, I started an initiative called Warm It Up, and what Warm It Up was to give out coffee cards to homeless people, right? So they can. It was in December. It was particularly cold December that year. This way, people could they could go in with the coffee card, get a hot drink, sit inside for a few minutes just to get out of the cold,
Hmm.
and yeah, just help them out with a small gesture. And it was great. I think the last numbers I read were 3,000 people were helped in through this initiative. It went viral. It was
Wow.
really just a thing. Hey, just let's go do this. But then it went viral on Facebook, and people all over the world were doing it. It was pretty sensational. Hello, Johnny.
Hey, Richard, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much. I love the guitar behind you.
Oh yeah, thank you very much. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Thanks, like again, for making the time to come on here and talk about what you're doing because I think it's really important. And when I was reached out to about like what you were putting on, I was just like, yeah, of course, I have to talk about this. I had a guest on, Ryan Zeitz, who's a stand-up comedian, and he runs a show through CAMH called Mental Health, HELL. And the whole show is just about like mental health and how even himself, he's like, if I didn't have my family, I very well could have been homeless just because he realized that he had bipolar and he was having these manic episodes where he'd be like, I'm gonna move to Thailand. I'm gonna sell everything and move to Thailand and teach classes at this thing. And then he realizes when he's there, the reality of that comes back, has nothing, has to move in with his parents. He's like, if I didn't have that option, I could be homeless. So like,
Right.
for you, like in your experience, like how many people do you think are? Because most people, when they think of homelessness, they think of like mental illness, like addiction, and that's just how that person ended up there. But more often than not, I think it's people that are paycheck to paycheck. One big emergency happens, they can't pay rent, and now all of a sudden they don't have any immediate family maybe that can help them, and now they're on the streets.
Well, you're exactly right, Johnny. In my previous work as an advocate for supporting homeless people, yes, the stereotype, shall we say, of a homeless person is someone with mental health issues or addiction issues, and these are the people you see very plain as day out on the streets. However, what I've learned is that homelessness has many faces. It could be a woman fleeing domestic violence. It could be a young person who's getting out of a toxic environment at home. It could be someone going through a divorce, loses a lot of things, could be both partners and wind up homeless. There are so many paths to this situation that you can't just put one face on it. And the story you just told is just another example of how it can touch people from all walks of life.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's one of those things where you feel like if there's so many people that live in Toronto that are, they're okay. They're doing well for themselves. But like even at like a community level, if there was just more, and I was talking to Ryan about this too, like there's just like no awareness around like what can be done, and you're almost told, like I remember I came from a small town and moving to Toronto, one of the first things people told me was don't make eye contact. And I was like, what? Yeah, you make eye contact, they're going to come over and bother you. And it's like, maybe they're coming over to ask for help. And maybe we need to, like, actually take 5 seconds of your day and talk to this person. And it might be something as simple as, like, hey, could you get me a meal? I haven't eaten in like 2 days.
Sure, sure.
Or
It,
do you have a bottle of water? You know what I mean? Like, it could be something as simple as that, but you're just like, nope, if I don't look at it, it's not a problem.
it's really a hard thing, I think, for people to face because, as we say in the song, there's a couple of lines that go, "The tales that they tell could be ours as well," and it really means that it can happen to anyone. And that was another example you cited: people living paycheck to paycheck, someone who could have lost their job and wound up on the streets because they don't have enough savings in this economy to carry them through to the next opportunity. So that said, people might find it might be too much too real for them, right?
Yeah.
For them to maybe face that could be me sitting there in the doorway. It could be my family who goes through something like this. It's a hard thing to face. There
Mm-hmm.
might also be some fear involved as well, because when someone approaches you, you're not sure what to expect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is understandable.
Sure.
Uh, so there are ways that people can help alleviate the situation, or at least make it stop it from becoming the crisis, the almost state of emergency that it is. From what I read, the last statistic was 15,000 people won't have a bed tonight in Toronto. 15,000. I don't know
That's.
how big the town is you came
I
from,
was
but I
just gonna
would,
say the hometown I'm from is Brockville. I think it's at like 22,000.
yeah, yeah, that's
That's
almost the whole town.
unbelievable. Imagine the entire. And you know what's crazy is now even Brockville has like a homeless population.
And
So
that's
it's there's no way that like it was someone from Toronto that was homeless that found their way to Brockville and now they're homeless there. No, those are people that lived in your community that are now sleeping under a tarp in like a forested area.
and in Brockville, as well as other communities like Barrie and Guelph and London, 10 years ago, this was unheard of, having
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
tent
totally,
encampments.
totally.
And we're talking a large amount of people in these communities. Unheard
Mm-hmm.
of. It was
Yeah,
a big city problem. And as you just said, it's almost everywhere now.
yeah. I think part of me thinks that like yes, we can help on a community level, but only that goes so far. You can create awareness, but only that goes so far. It's really on the individual to then take that awareness and change their mindset and decide to do something with that. And I can get to my own case when that happened to me. But you can depend on the government and tell the government, oh, you need to do something about this. But we know that they don't exactly work at a fast pace, and these people need housing today. I think the only thing that eventually will be able to prevent homelessness and take people out of it is complete AI robotic automation of jobs and a universal basic income taxed from those companies that are now benefiting from not having a physical workforce. So now you live in a world where everyone has a bank account, everyone is getting a consistent high income, and they get to just live. The weight of paying rent and getting groceries is lifted off of your shoulders, and now you can just live your life and focus on the things that you actually care about. And we can, I feel like that's like the utopia, maybe call it, but that's like very possible to be able to do.
So there are sustainable solutions that need to be developed to, again, today, address it today and get these people into safe spaces. And also, as you touched on, prevent it from becoming normalized in the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes I feel we get to a point now where we see a tent city and we go, oh, it's a tent city, where this should be shocking in
Yeah.
this society, right? These people are living in tents. Winter is coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be here this weekend, I think.
Yeah.
Um, so this is one thing that I was hoping to do with this project is just to give you a bit of a background on my advocacy work. Some years ago, I started an initiative called Warm It Up, and what Warm It Up was to give out coffee cards to homeless people, right? So they can. It was in December. It was particularly cold December that year. This way, people could they could go in with the coffee card, get a hot drink, sit inside for a few minutes just to get out of the cold,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, just help them out with a small gesture. And it was great. I think the last numbers I read were 3,000 people were helped in through this initiative. It went viral. It was
Wow.
really just a thing. Hey, just let's go do this. But then it went viral on Facebook, and people all over the world were doing it. It was pretty sensational. We expanded it to then to pairs of socks, taking socks to people. We called it the Sock Patrol, and we went out to the streets of Toronto handing out these socks. And again, it was just so great to do something like that. But not everyone has the resources to do that. They don't have the time. And as we said earlier, they might not want to approach. We were talking about them approaching, but they might not want to approach someone with a
Mm-hmm.
gift, right? Again, you never know. And I can't blame them for people for being afraid. So with this song, The Forgotten Homeless, people don't have to do any sort of activism. All they need to do is listen to the song at least once, preferably several times, and they can do it
Put it on a loop.
anywhere. Put it on a loop. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do that. That's a great idea. Put it on a loop, play it. You don't have to go anywhere, and we'll take care of taking the royalties and donating it to the WoodGreen Community Services Unmet Needs Campaign, which
Mm-hmm.
provides supports for people who are unhoused. It's a great way to do something today to help alleviate this problem.
Right. And tell me about the WoodGreen Foundation and why you wanted to partner with them specifically.
So when I initially came up with this idea, I was in a bar with my band Red Path Traffic. We were doing a showcase in the downtown pub, and there was a young guy who, possibly your age, was on stage playing a song, acoustic guitar, nice looking guy, regular looking musician, played a couple songs, sounded great. And at the end of a set, he said to the crowd, "Does anybody have a bed that I can sleep in tonight? Does anyone have a couch I could use? Because I have nowhere to go." And this touches on what we spoke about before, where we have this, what we're accustomed to being the face of a homeless person, but you
Hmm.
would never know with this kid, that he was homeless, right?
Yeah.
And it got me thinking, after seeing that, how many other stories there are that lead people to the streets, the
Yeah.
domestic abuse, etc., what we spoke about earlier. So I thought, let's get a song together. I wrote the song. It's called The Forgotten Homeless. But I wanted to find a place where I could partner with, where we can work together to promote the song and have the money, the royalties, go to supporting their program. And the
Right.
Wood Green Unmet Needs campaign is great. It helps connect people in need with supportive housing, helps them get on their feet, stay on their feet. So yeah, it's the perfect match for what I was going for. And they were
Oh,
been very supportive and very excited about the project as well.
that's great. I don't know if Eric passed along the theme of the show is I have the guest choose one word. Did you have
Oh,
a word in mind that came to you? The word typically for a lot of people is maybe something that had. I was thinking we could just do like homelessness, but whatever word comes to mind for you, it's something that has meaning to you, something that I don't know, you're inspired to talk about.
no, I wasn't aware of that. So I'm going to think of something on the fly here.
That's the best, isn't
It's free association. So here's a word to choose. I'm just going to choose the first one that came to mind, and you mentioned it, and it's called empathy.
Empathy.
And empathy is something that's very prevalent in the Toronto arts community because a lot of us are social observers. A lot of
Hmm.
us use our the power of our art. Sounds, I feel strange saying that
Yeah.
about myself, but they do. They have a way of expressing their ideas creatively to inspire empathy within others, right?
Hmm.
And that was the point of this song, was to inspire people to say, again, the song tells the stories of people who were on the street, not just there are people on the street, this is a problem, we have to do something. We need to empathize with the stories that led the people to this
Hmm.
situation. And everybody has a story.
Yeah.
15,000 people, 15,000 individual stories. And these are people who just had a run of bad luck in many, many cases, right? And
Hmm.
those are the stories we need to listen to. Put the human face and the human story first,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I
And
think
that's what
that's
it's rooted in empathy.
I think that's so important too to do it in that way. And like I noticed with the song you worked with so many artists for just the one song in the performance aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
What was the sort of your mindset or approach when putting that together? Like, why did you choose to have many artists?
To show that we're a community.
Okay,
I mean,
that's what I
I
thought, but
could,
I wanted to be yeah.
yeah. I mean, I could do a song and just sing it, and that's great. Here's one person's opinion, but I mean, there are strength in numbers, and we wanted to get as wide a variety of people and artists to come in and sing on the song. Um, and everyone worked great. They all believed in the cause. They all donated their time to not only come out to record, but also to make the video. Excuse me. And yeah, so that was really what it was, just to say, yes, we're willing to spend our time to come together to create this song to show that we are united in this belief that we can overcome this crisis.
Let me just see here. Another question. Oh yeah, for listeners who are like deeply moved by this song, what is the like single most impactful action step that you would encourage them to take to support the cause beyond just listening to it and playing it on every device in their household?
You could go to the well, that's the only way. No,
Yeah.
you can go to the Wood Green website and learn about the Unmet Needs campaign and possibly make a donation directly on top of streaming the song. Um, and it really goes for it really helps support the good work that WoodGreen does. And it yeah, and it's a great way to help show your support to fight this growing trend. I mean, we need to reverse it first of all,
Yeah.
stop it from growing, and then come up with solutions that will stop it from coming back. So I would say definitely um, look at WoodGreen's Unmet Need campaign, or if you're not in Toronto, a local agency that does the same kind of work
Mm-hmm.
to help stem this tide. Beyond that, engaging with local lawmakers is always can be effective, but as you said before, the wheels turn slowly, and sometimes issues that surround people in need do fall down the list of priorities, unfortunately, because they're human beings here, right?
Yeah.
They're not dollar signs.
Yeah.
So they need to be moved up the ladder for sure.
Yeah, that's the thing so much with like government funding is they almost view everything as like an investment. Like what is going to be the return on like the whole reason to have, solar panel fields is because the return on investment is going to be like renewable energy and they're willing to like spend the money up front because they know they're going to save it in the future. But when they look at the homeless population, they're not seeing like they can't see the return on their investment in my opinion. I don't I think that's why it moves slowly. But what do you think is like the biggest obstacle to this issue like being solved?
Well, I think you touched on this where they don't see the good effects of fighting homelessness. But what it does, if you get people off the streets into homes, gainfully employed, they become more engaged citizens. They
Mm-hmm.
contribute more to society, right? They have families. They can open businesses. They can contribute as much as you or I do.
Yeah.
Um, they just need that extra little leg up to be able to contribute. It more prosperity means benefits for
Mm-hmm.
everybody, for the whole community, right? People are
Yeah.
spending more, businesses grow, more people get hired. There's so many benefits to fighting homelessness. I think some of the things that stop it is that there might be interests that need certain issues to continue to be able to sustain their own interests. I don't
Mm-hmm.
really want to get into that because it's kind of a dark topic, but
Yeah,
it's
like corruption in that world is so disgusting to even think that it exists. Like they had that problem in California. There was all this money that went to an organization that said that they were going to help, and it was all the CEOs that got the money, and nothing changed.
yeah,
Like
and that
it's
happens. Yeah, that happens so often. It happened here in Toronto or in Canada where corporations get money and then the boards divide it amongst themselves and still lake people off, right?
yeah.
It's a changing of the priorities in people who can make a difference, I think,
Mm-hmm.
can really make a difference. And it really only takes one or two people to stand up and influence a change in mindset to put people first.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean to sound like I'm sloganeering here, but I mean
No.
that's really the attitude
Yeah.
and a real empathetic, honest approach to it. It
Yeah.
is really key. It's changing mindsets, but there are also other things that factor in, like the economy. People are saving less, they're spending less, they don't have as much to save, right? So they're
Mm-hmm.
very close to being on the edge. Um, the breakdown of the family, like I said, with divorces, right? Uh, can we stem that tide that can also lead to homelessness? Mental health issues, are the
Yeah.
supports there before someone winds up homeless, so they don't have to
Yeah.
go through that, hit rock bottom, or any addiction issues. And when we talk about addiction issue, I'm not talking about drugs and alcohol only. There's gambling as well, and that's a huge one, right?
Oh
and
yeah.
and and gambling is so easy to do these days. You can do it on your phone.
Oh my god, that's the
So
craziest thing. You can gamble on your phone now. Like,
yeah, yeah. So I'm not telling people what to do or how to live their life, but it's certainly have been changes in society over the last 10 years that have been pitched as in the name of freedom, but at the same time, it's kind of working against the greater good.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I do feel that way. I don't want to be on my soapbox and I don't want to get too political here, but
No, this is your episode. You can do whatever you feel comfortable saying.
uh, I like to be able to influence through thought and through empathy,
Hmm.
and if the lawmakers or the people that can make these things go don't, then we should, as a community, work together to really influence change. Right?
And
It's most change starts at the bottom before it reaches the
you're
top.
seeing a frustration build among people as well too, and it's happening everywhere. Like in like we feel like as you know housed tax-paying working citizens that the money we're giving to the government should be spent on maintaining the cleanliness, maintaining the cities, the areas that you live in, and if that means helping homeless people, that is part of that. Like that's how a lot of people view it, right? So I've seen a couple videos going viral on TikTok of like I think in the like Church Young corridor or like Wellesley and Church corridor where they've been having like meetings with their local MP and just yelling at him like what are you doing about this, and they always just the most political like change the topic, let's talk about e-scooters or let's get this man out of here, like you're not allowed to record this session, like but people you can at least see that people are going hey enough, like I shouldn't be walking to work and all of these you're telling me all of these people are homeless, like who, I don't have time to help, but like the city should be focusing on this. And then they feel like they need to put that on pressure on their local MPs to move something forward, work with an advocacy group, work with someone like WoodGreen and give them the funding that they need to be able to help get these people off the streets.
Yeah, absolutely. It really doesn't have to be this way, but unfortunately, a lack of vision, I think, at several levels have let it get this way. And we don't want it to become a situation, like I said earlier, where it's normalized, where, oh, this is
Mm-hmm.
just part of being in society.
Yeah.
And because it shouldn't be. And this is something that's not just Toronto and not just Canada, but across the Western world. You see many changes that have led to rising rents and housing costs and food costs and everything. Um, and so, yeah, it's certainly something that needs to be addressed sooner rather than later. If we can find people with the political will to actually make that change and do it right, don't just
Mm-hmm.
talk about it,
Yeah.
do it.
Actually do it. That's the thing that they rarely follow through on is doing the things they say. But eventually, we'll get there. Eventually, somebody will step in. Um, the other thing I wanted to, yeah, with Remembrance Day even coming up too, it popped in my head that there's so many like starting with veterans is probably the easiest. There should not be a homeless veteran with PTSD. That should not exist. That person, if they fought for our country and they come back from war, they should be taken care of. There should be like free, therapy, like free medical therapy if they need some type of pharmaceutical to help them through what they're going through. Cover 50% of their housing or something if they need time to get back to work. Like the amount of like homeless veterans is also shocking.
Yeah, I don't know what the stats are on homeless veterans, but I completely agree with you that that they should be prioritized since they did risk everything, or are willing to risk everything to help protect our society. I don't want to get into we should help these people more than those people, but
No,
I
no, of
but I
course.
but I am on
Yeah.
board with absolutely veterans. It should be a no-brainer. It should be a
Yeah.
no-brainer for anybody, but for veterans,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. There's no hierarchy of need when it comes to this. Everyone needs the help, but I'm just thinking of like the simplest ones where it's like that shouldn't have happened. Like that
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. But for somebody that almost died to protect their country, that blows my mind.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Another question I had was, oh yeah, you mentioned that you were part of Red Path Traffic. How was your experience as a songwriter in the band translated to creating a piece of music with such like a heavy purpose to it?
Well, I mean, a lot of the songs that I write with Red Path Traffic, I mean, they all tell stories, right? And it's really all about songwriting is about telling a story.
Mm.
And record companies will say it's about having a hook too.
Yeah.
But yes, that's important. And I strive to put those in. There's one in The Forgotten Homeless, but it was writing a song, but with a lot of purpose in mind, right? This
Hmm.
isn't about me. It's not about selling records as much as it's about, or MP3s. It's
Yeah.
about yeah, aging myself here.
Streams.
Streams, thank you. That's it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
streams.
yeah.
Selling streams. It's about really making a statement, right? So this is the most purposeful song I've ever written,
Wow.
without question. So it wasn't too hard to do. Once I had the idea, and I thought, okay, this is the goal. Then I sat down and did it.
Hmm. Should submit it to the Junos.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole that would be
Hey
great
man,
if
that.
someone would nominate it, but that's a whole other thing.
Hey, if you're listening to this and you're on the committee, go find the song and nominate it.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Sure. I
Hey,
mean
more
that's a
exposure,
wide
the better.
audience.
Yeah, yeah, that's a
Absolutely, absolutely.
big audience to play it on for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Our Canadian Grammys.
Yeah.
Who were just talking about yourself now? Like, who were some of your early like musical influences, and like what got you into saying like, "Hey, I want to, be a musician."
Oh gosh, I mean there are so many. I've got a few years or decades on you, so some of these names might not jump out, but a lot of the music that I listened to in the 1970s were certainly influential. But I think, like many, many, many artists before me, hearing the Beatles was likely that point where it
Yeah,
was, you know, wow. And I can't put my finger on what it is about them. Some Beatles fans can go on for hours,
I'm
which
one of
is
them.
why. Are you? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
good.
for sure. I could
Good,
go
good,
on
good.
about Beatles forever.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
So for them, they just had that quality that inspired so many people, and I wasn't even in an era where I could see them live, right?
Hmm.
But still, and even today, and you're evidence of this, um, their influence is still felt. So Beatles for sure, and then other bands of the day, and such as the Who, the Beach Boys, Queen, later on Led Zeppelin, definitely. So we're talking in the 70s and 80s here, right?
Hmm.
They all really had a huge impact on how I view music composition and production as well. But I listen to anything. I listen to old jazz. There's some country that I like, classical as well. I mean, it's really enriching to listen to many different genre,
Hmm.
which gives you it really gives a great musical education on the potential of creating sounds that will appeal to people.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, the Beatles, I always say that like even if you think you haven't heard a Beatles song, you've heard a Beatles song before. Like there's
Yeah,
something about when you listen to a Beatles song, it feels like familiar. Like there's this like deep rooted, I think because so many people were inspired by them that you've heard other types of music and then you almost hear like it's like the Latin root of the word is probably from a Beatles song. Just the way that they were so what I admired about them is one, the work ethic. Like, there's that documentary 8 days a week where they're just constantly gigging and working on their craft and honing it. And then
yeah,
even with success, not being afraid of going, let's try something new. Let's go to India. Let's try LSD. Let's let Ringo write a song. you know,
yeah,
like
absolutely.
they were all over the place, and it like made for such a great band.
It is. I mean, there were four guys who grew up in the same city. They had the same lived experiences, post-war Liverpool. So it really created a great collective groove, I guess you could say, in there, in whatever magical is inside them to write such wonderful music. The timing was great, the talent was great. They were just the perfect storm of everything that you could want in a
Yeah,
band, right?
yeah, yeah.
Just absolutely perfect. And I think they rewrote the rules at least three times in 8 years. 8 years, right? You have people today, well, they broke a record previously held by the Beatles, and everyone goes, "Woo!" But they have been in the business 25, 30 years. The
Yeah,
Beatles did it all those in eight. So I
yeah.
know looking back, with
Before the
you,
internet.
before the internet even. So
Like,
looking back for you and for me in a way, I mean, we weren't there when Beatlemania hit. Can you imagine being there and seeing it all unfold? It must have been fabulous.
oh man, like I think about things all the time. Like, imagine watching like Jimi Hendrix play live. Like,
Yeah.
imagine seeing Elvis Presley come out and just the roar of that crowd of just being
Uh,
frantic, like so excited to see him. And again, pre-internet, like these people had they tapped into something that hit so many people and influenced so many people that they couldn't even imagine. Like, I interviewed this guy named John Brower, who was he has a documentary on Amazon called Revival '69, and it was about this massive concert that he threw in Toronto in 1969, and the lineup was insane. Like, you had a young Alice Cooper, Chuck Berry, you had like John Lennon coming back playing with the Yoko Ono band for the first time ever, The Doors, like all these crazy bands. And in that audience was a young Geddy Lee who went there with his girlfriend. And
oh, I didn't know that.
that's what made him want to get into music. And it's like, you think about these small, what seem like small things, like he's just trying to put together this crazy music festival, and has no idea the impact that it's going to have on the people there and that live in the city.
I don't know if your average Beatle fan back in the 60s would have thought that we'll still be talking about them in 2025. But, and
Yeah.
I know two people who saw the Beatles live in Toronto, and I know a guy who was at Woodstock. And just last week, and they're all guys in their 70s. And there
Hmm.
was a guy I met just last Friday who said that he saw the Grateful Dead and Janis Joplin and I think Hendrix in a package
The crazy
tour
lineup.
in yeah, Montreal, I think he said, in
Wow.
1970. Ridiculous, right?
So
But they're
insane.
all but they're all very laid back about it. And they all say the same thing with the Beatles. I couldn't hear a thing. I just looked and there they were on stage, right? But they're like,
Yeah.
I couldn't hear a thing. It's like a waste of money almost.
Yeah, yeah,
Retros
yeah.
at the time, retrospectively,
Yeah.
it's a piece of history. But at the
Yeah.
time, like, what
I
am I
think
doing?
even the Beatles recognize that. There's the famous video of like them playing a concert, and the people are screaming so loud that John just was like, they can't even hear what we're playing. So he would just be
Right.
like, this next song's called Bananas, and then they would just play, whatever, because they're like, no one even is listening. They're just excited to see us.
That's hilarious.
It was cool too to see like all the interviews of them where they're just like completely joking with each other, and then they're like, who's the most important person in your life, John? He's like, my wife. And then they ask like, Ringo, who's the most important person in your life? He goes, John's wife. just
Yeah,
They
and
just were like silly and just were like having such a good time, and it
yeah,
was
that
infectious in a way.
that's what I'm talking about. That lived experience really, really helped, as opposed to putting ads. You don't get the tightness that they had as friends when you put ads in the paper looking for musicians, right? It's just
Totally.
not there. And
Yeah.
I have the same thing where right now people are pushing for like the Beatles sons to get together and form a Beatles too. And I'm like, no, come on.
Don't do
I
that.
mean, these kids aren't friends. They don't have the same lived experience. They
Yes.
didn't grow up working class or poor. They're just four people. It's like me starting a company with a guy who worked with my dad 50 years ago, right?
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
gonna
yeah. Doesn't mean it's
it's
gonna work.
it doesn't mean it's gonna work. No, it's totally different. So it's
Yeah.
it's 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 a little crazy, but I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, no,
that's the
totally.
buzz.
Yeah. So what's next for yourself and this initiative? Do you have like any other big plans coming up that you want to like promote and let people know about?
Well, for this, it's really about getting a word out about the song and about the unmet needs campaign, and encouraging people to really pay attention to what's going on around them and understand that they have the power to change. What we can't, from my growing up with me, it was very easy to say, well, the government will take care of things, right? But I
Yeah.
think we're past those years now, and it's clearly not working, because someone cited a stat to me yesterday where it was 12,000 people betting, no, sorry, 7,000 people bedding down in Toronto, or going without a bed in Toronto every
Wow.
night. And now it's 15. That's more than double. Whatever they've been doing isn't working. So it's
Yeah.
really up to us at the ground, at the grassroots level, to really take control of the situation and do something, right? And one of the
Yeah.
things you can do is stream the song, Doesn't cost you a penny. It only cost you a few minutes. So we can start supporting initiatives that will help make a positive difference in the community.
Yeah, no, totally. I love that. And Richard, there's one question that I ask all my guests at the end of the podcast, and it's essentially, what advice would you give to your younger self? But I want to add context, and I want you to think of you at 15 years old. And the
Sure.
phone rings, and it's you now on the other end, and you can give your younger self just a piece of life advice. What would you say?
Respect your gifts. Don't let people be negative or convince you otherwise, because a lot of times it says more about what they are than what you are. Don't let anyone else define you.
I love that. I'm going to share your stuff here for people watching on YouTube. Thank you. Hit that subscribe button. It's facebook.com/warmitupto. You can go to woodgreen.org to donate, volunteer, and to find out more about this initiative. And then go stream this on every device in your household, The Forgotten Homeless by Artists Against Homelessness. And the YouTube page is youtube.com/@solve homelessness. Thanks so much, Richard, for making the time. It was nice chatting with you.
Thank you, Johnny. Take care now.
All right, take care. Have a good rest of your day.
Okay. You too. Bye now.